Stan, your reaction?
Well, as I've said many times, you can't be involved in political life or public life in Boulder County if you don't want to accept the fact that people have a lot of opinions about different things. Mr. Wood is entitled to his opinion. He clearly has one. And, I don't know that I have much more to say than that. As I told Brad when he was asking me about coming on today, I said, I'm happy to come on, but I don't have anything to say beyond what I said when I was on a couple of weeks ago, which is, shortly after I took over, I returned the case to the Boulder Police. I did that for a number of reasons. I did it after I was satisfied that both the Boulder Police have the investigative capacity to continue to work on the Ramsey case, and also satisfied myself that there was no bias that would interfere with the investigation. That's my view of it. Mr. Wood has a different view, and he's entitled to his opinion.
Right, but Mark Beckner, who was a commander back then in December 1997 when he said the Ramseys were under an umbrella of suspicion, now he's the Boulder Police Chief. You turned the case back over to him. Can you see why the Ramseys would be concerned that the man who said they were under the umbrella of suspicion is once again in charge of the investigation?
Well, Craig, as I've said from the get-go with the Ramsey case, it's the evidence that will determine what, if anything, my office ever does with the Ramsey case. We have a number of cold cases that are being investigated. Some of them are being reviewed for charges. There was quite a backlog of them when I took over the office. The Ramsey case is not being reviewed for charges, but it is an open investigation, and the Boulder Police Department is handling the case, and I have confidence that they're doing it fairly.
Stan Garnett, our special guest, Boulder District Attorney. And Stan, so it would be fair to say then that Mary Lacey's clearing of the Ramseys is no longer in effect. You're not bound by that. You're just going to follow the evidence wherever it leads.
Well, what I've always said about Mary Lacey's exoneration that was issued in June of 2008, or July, I guess, a few months before I took over, is that it speaks for itself. I've made it clear that any decisions made going forward about the Ramsey case will be made based off of evidence, and anybody with information or evidence that they think relates to the Ramsey case should provide that to the Boulder Police Department. I know that my office gets 2 to 3 active tips a week. Some of them are from people that probably don't have useful information. Some of them may have useful information. We forward all of that to the Boulder Police, and if they ever think they have developed a case or evidence, then we will take a look at that and decide if charges can be filed.
And Stan, for the many in the audience who aren't actively involved in the practice of law, when you say that the exoneration speaks for itself, are you saying that it's Mary Lacey taking action, that action, and this I think would help clarify for folks in the audience, that action doesn't have any particular legally binding effect? It may cause complications if there's ever a prosecution of a Ramsey down the road, but it doesn't have a legally binding effect on you. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. I think that's what most of the press related about the exoneration at the time that it was issued.
Here's another interesting thing Linwood had to say. He said Burke Ramsey has cooperated from day one, that he testified in front of the grand jury. Interesting confirmation of that fact. What about the 9-year-old, Stan? Following the case, I don't see any way a 9-year-old could have fashioned that fairly sophisticated garrote, nor write that kind of ransom note with the vocabulary and handwriting. So it always made sense to me to eliminate Burke as a suspect. Is that good thinking on my part?
Yeah, I think generally that's good thinking.
Yeah, Stan Garnett, our special guest, and Stan, I saw a report recently that reported when they were reviewing the history of the Ramsey case that the grand jury had not returned any indictments in the Ramsey case. I had one good source tell me that was wrong, that in fact there was at least one, maybe more indictments returned. Can you tell us one way or the other?
Dan, it would be improper for me to make any comment about anything that happened in the grand jury. So I just can't say anything about it.
Perfectly legitimate and understood.